I'm Michaela Scurlock, and you are watching A Pro-Wife Story. Today I get to talk with Gia Robinson. Gia is the wife of former Carolina Panther Eugene Robinson. Most of you know he's no stranger to television, but today it's Gia's turn. So stay with us for her encouraging story.
Marriage is hard. Everybody goes through something. I can't worry about what people think. This is my life. This is my family. Who are they at their core? I knew who he was. It was just that unconditional love. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So I'm gonna fight, for better or for worse.
Michaela Scurlock presents A Pro-Wife Story, featuring Gia Robinson.
Gia, thank you so much for allowing me to come in today and chatting with you. I want to start out.
You're welcome.
A little bit about talking about your childhood. You were raised by a single mom, right?
I was raised by a single mom who's really my hero. I'm biracial. My mom's white, my father's black. She got pregnant about 20 years old, got married in a climate, we're talking about mid-60s, early 60s, where it was tough. And she was advised by a lot of people to not go through with it or at least give me up for adoption. And she was a fighter, and she said, no, I'm gonna raise my baby, I'm gonna make a way for us. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it, but she had a lot of opposition against her. She's a strong woman.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that up, not because I want to give racism a platform, but I do want to give a platform to love.
That's right.
I think it's so important for people to hear that love overcomes racism, because your mom had to face some tough times by making that choice, which was the right choice, obviously.
Right.
But can you share some of those things your mom actually encountered when she made that decision?
Yeah, she did. She didn't have at least initially, her family support. They didn't, dealing with just, like you said, the racism in the community. People telling her, don't, you're going to ruin your life. They told her, if you have this child and you keep this child, your life is over. You have it's done. And she, went through, had me, got out of the hospital, not even know where she was going to go, had to get a social worker. Was able to find a studio apartment. And she said when I was first born, I didn't have too much color. She said about 9 months, that's when I really started getting my coloring. And she said she'll never, this makes me not cry, but she remembers the landlord coming up to her and saying, wait a minute, is this child black? And she says, yes. She goes, well, you're gonna have to find somewhere else to go. You're no longer welcome here. And that was tough. I think now that I'm a mom and I'm older, now I realize, man, how strong she had to be, to deal with that. And because of it, she ended up taking within a week, she had to be out. She had to leave. So went into the city, inner city, where she can get housing for us. And that was tough. Think about it, in your predominantly black, Hispanic neighborhood, I can count on maybe one hand how many white people were in that neighborhood. But you know what, she embraced it, made some great friendships, great relationships, and I have a lot of those friends even to this day. So I'm proud of her for dealing with that head on.
Proud, I can't even, I'm sitting here, it's just, as a mom, I think as a woman married to a black man, not looking at my husband as being a black man, but just a man, it is very hurtful to hear that. Because I can understand what your mom must have gone through and how powerful the choice is that she made.
Yes.
And it hurts me to know that this went on. And I'm thankful that, of course, we've gotten better. I want to say I know we've gotten better, and especially in today's climate, we're not nearly where we need to be, right?
True.
But we've gotten better. But the fact that your mom went through this and encountered all this, so when you were a child, I know you were so little, but what memory do you have of that?
I just remember her being, like I said, when you're little, you're just kind of going through the motions. You're not realizing how tough it must have been. Now, like I said, I'm older and now I get it. But she just instilled, she was so strong, knowing she had to make a way for us, put herself through school, went and got her education, went into nursing, got a good job and was able to really to show me that, first of all, her life was not over. All those people who told her that it wasn't. But one thing she instilled in me, is that, what, be proud of who you are. When society sees you, they'll see you as a black woman. And you own that. You be proud of that. And even though I'm white, you're biracial, people will view you as a black woman, and you own it and accept it and embrace it. And yeah.
Why is that? Why do you think we can't get through to people that we're just women?
Right.
We're just women. There's one race, the human race, right?
Right.
So why do you think society makes us feel that way, that we have to be categorized? Right.
Good point. Good question, and I don't know, to be honest with you. It's tough. People want to put you in a box and want to put you categorize you. And I think for me, at least back in the 70s, like I said, we've come a long way since. And I think for me, she had to let me know, what I would be dealing with. And I think we have come somewhat, come out of that some, but yeah, I think still though, people like to keep you in their little box.
And I think you hit it on the head. We've come a long way.
Right.
And we're going to continue to come a long way because of people like your mom, people like you, people who are not afraid of making a difference, but realizing that love sees no color. And I mean, this is just some real powerful stuff. And especially in today's climate, like I said, people need to understand. Let's start to see each other for who we are.
That's right.
And not the color of our skin, right?
That's right. Yep. Agree.
That's amazing. We have to take a little break, but much more to come with Gia after this.
More of a pro-wife story right after this. A pro-wife story continues with Michaela and Gia Robinson.
I don't even know what to say because obviously I want to hear your story. But I wanted to purposely start out your story with your mom's story because there wouldn't be a Gia story if she wouldn't have made that courageous choice, even though it really shouldn't have even been a choice for her. And whoever knows someone like your mom, I think we need to continue to encourage them, right?
Right, that's right.
So thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I want to talk a little bit at this point about you and Eugene, because you guys met originally in elementary school, right?
Originally elementary school.
Yeah.
We formally met at college, Colgate University. He was a sophomore, I was a freshman, and met at a Halloween party. I was a punk rocker, it was the 80s. So I had my little punk rock outfit on.
What was Eugene?
Football. He was a football player.
Okay.
How original is that?
Go
right?
figures. Right.
Yeah, he was a football player, and he said he walked in and seen me from a distance and thought, I'm going to marry that girl. It wasn't
in elementary school. He said
no,
that?
this is at the Halloween party.
At the Halloween party
in college.
Oh, in college.
So,
okay, all right.
So we started talking. Most of our friends were from New York City, and we were one of the only two really from Connecticut. We're both from Hartford, Connecticut.
So you guys originally met in elementary school, but then it was love on second sight in college.
Well, I didn't really know him. I'll tell you the story. I didn't know Eugene in elementary school. I knew of him. He used to, him and another little boy used to chase the girls home every day after school.
That does not surprise me even.
Believe it or not, I know my hair is short, but I used to have really long, hair, and he'd pull my pigtails and throw acorns at me, and not just me, it was other little girls as well. And we kind of, as we were talking in college, and he's like, well, what schools, if you went to Harvard, what elementary schools did you go to? And I said, I went to Fred D. Wish. He's like, really? He said, I went to that school.
You were one of the girls that I chased.
Yeah, and I said, oh, yeah. I said, you know what? I couldn't stand that school. I said, I was so happy we moved out of there, moved, to a different school in third grade. I said, it was these two little boys who made my life and these other little girls' lives miserable. And his eyes are getting kind of big, and he's like, I said, there was a Hector Rodriguez, and I couldn't remember the other little boy, and his eyes get big. He says, did you have really long hair? I'm like, yeah. He said, you used to wear them in 2 braids? I'm like, yes. He said, your mother have to come and wait for you after school? Sometimes just because I'm like, Mom, those boys are messing with us. And he goes, I remember you. I was the one.
He
said, I had a crush on you. So he
Yeah,
couldn't
it's
bel-
interesting
he
because I
couldn't
think
believe it.
when kids are smaller, you know, the first crush, they always
Right, that
express that with "I don't like you."
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
You pick on
And
you, pick
so
at you.
then later they actually can express their
Yeah.
love in different ways. So,
Right, right.
wow, that is so amazing.
was.
That's very unique because that's
Yeah.
sort of like very clear you guys were meant for each other. I mean,
Yeah.
too. So you guys fell in love, then you guys got married. Was this before Eugene headed off for the
What
NFL?
happened?
Or?
He actually went to Colgate University on an academic scholarship.
Yeah.
Did not get recruited to play football at all.
Wow.
He said he was watching him practice one day. He walked by, he's looking through the fence, and he's like, you know what? I think I can do that. I'm going to go talk to the coach after practice and see if he'll let me come try out for the team. And the coach, you know, told him, oh, kid, you know, already did our recruiting. You know, we're good. Thanks anyway. And, you know, so Eugene didn't think anything about it. So
Wow.
they were in a gym one day just playing around, horsing around, throwing the football around. And Eugene, according to let him tell it, he made this diving catch and he grabbed the ball with one hand, you know.
We know about these
right,
stories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he said, the coach said, wait a minute. He told another coach, I think that's the kid who asked me if he can come try out.
Yeah.
So he came up to Eugene and says, you know what, I will let you have that tryout after all. So he went, you know, next day, went through all the drills, and not only did he make the team that year, as a freshman, he was the one of only two to make the varsity. So
Wow.
went there never even expecting to play football. That was never in his wheelhouse. And
Yeah.
went on to do that, and he's a year ahead of me. So there was a quarterback that they had who was pretty good. He was a good quarterback, and there are recruits who were coming to the school, Colgate. They're coming to look at him. But the coach said, "Hey, give this other kid Robinson a look. You know, since you're here, just
Right.
take a look at him as well." And it was a Seattle Seahawks
Yeah.
recruiter that liked him. He said, "You know what?" He said, "We won't draft you. We'll bring you in as a free agent." He says, "But honestly, we will give you an honest, fair shot."
Yeah.
So,
Was that exciting to you? I mean,
I didn't
you're
really.
dating,
Yeah, I
or-
mean, I didn't know much about football.
Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, I didn't. I mean, I'm like, oh, that's kind of a long shot. And he did too. He thought,
Right.
well, hey, thanks for
Yeah.
get a free trip out to Seattle, different part of the country, that never seen. And so he went on to graduate in May, left in June, and went through the training camp, and he was on special team. Did a couple special team plays, and he's like, you know what, I might have a chance. And he'd start talking to me about, what about getting married? 'Cause we were already planning to get married after I graduated, so that following year. He says, if I should happen to make the team, maybe we could, talk to your mom, your family, think about getting married, and,
So you guys got married.
Yep.
You moved to
he made
Seattle.
it. Yep, moved to Seattle, and because I was a senior in high school, because we got married a year prior, I just promised my mom, I said, I promise you, if you let me get married, I will finish. I will get my degree.
You're a senior in college.
I was
right?
a senior in college
Right,
when we got married.
Okay, yeah.
So I sent off my application. Transcripts got accepted to the University of Washington. So, of course, on any, knowing the NFL, you only get Tuesdays off.
Right.
So he had to take a red-eye flight out from Seattle, West Coast, to get into Connecticut, Hartford that morning, 10 o'clock that morning. We got married at 5 o'clock on a Tuesday. Flew back out, back to Seattle. I remember the next day thinking, what was I thinking? It was like a whirlwind.
No surprises on that. I
yeah.
mean, every wife that I've spoken to, and I say it again, I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but life doesn't stop. Game doesn't stop
Right.
for what players have going on and their families. It's just how it is. You fit it in, right?
Right.
You fit your life into the game, and that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow. Well, we have to take a little break, but when we get back, I want to talk about the transition from not being in the NFL to the NFL.
Got you.
More with Michaela and Gia Robinson when a Pro Wife Story returns. A Pro Wife Story continues with Michaela and Gia Robinson.
So now you're in Seattle, and I have to ask this question because I ask everyone this question, but your first Christmas, right? I mean, you would think, now he plays in the NFL. It's your first Christmas. Did you guys splurge a little?
Oh, no. Like I said, he was a free agent, undrafted free agent back in 1985, where he had a signing bonus of $10,000. And
Say that louder.
$10,000 signing bonus,
Right.
and they gave him $5,000 up front, and then told him, if you make the team, we'll let you have the other $5,000. You know, so, and the thing is, we went into a team that was mostly veterans. So there's a lot of guys who were there for 8, 9, 10 years. And so, of course, you go and you're looking at their lives and, you know, their lifestyles. And we're just kids. Again, I was just in college at the time.
So what did you get for Christmas?
Well,
that's an important question
for
a lot of women.
I know, it was so funny. And he laughs about it to this day, and he says, I think you're trying to be funny, but I wasn't. He wanted to be creative, and he said, got me jewelry.
That sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So I'm thinking, oh, in my head, I'm thinking, I'm looking at the other wives, oh, they're probably little diamond studs, it's gonna be great. And he's like, okay, so we open up our presents. He says, okay, I got, you know, something else for you. So I'm like excited, like this is it. I know
This is the big
it.
one.
He says, well, I kind of, you know, want to be creative, so I hid it in the tree. So go, you know, go try to find it. So I'm looking intently, trying to
You're
find
like
these.
so clever.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, he's so creative. And he says, you see it? I'm like, no. He said, look harder. And I'm looking. Finally gets off the couch. He goes, right here. And he takes them off. They were these long, dangly gold earrings that were like chains with little balls on them. Look like disco balls. I thought they were Christmas ornaments. And he thinks I'm trying to be, no, I really thought they were Christmas ornaments. And I'm like, oh, you know, you try to be grateful. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Thanks,
In my
honey.
head, I'm like, this is not what I thought. And he said, but don't worry, I got one more for you. I'm like, oh, he was just trying to throw me off the scent. Now here comes the real. So again, he says, it's in the tree. So, you know, really look good this time. So I'm looking, you know, again, going, trying to be creative, going through these motions. And yeah, he goes, look, over to the left. And I look up, another pair of earrings. Again, this is the 80s, and it was on this little, thing that's on, and you have this little stud, and the other one was this long kind of like a lightning bolt.
Oh gosh, I
like
remember
Madonna,
those.
right?
I remember those. I really do.
He's like, are you excited? You know, I know how much you love to wear, you know, jewelry, and you know.
And the thing is, when you get something like that, you have to be excited then and there, but then you sort of have to wear them not to make him feel bad, right?
Well,
so did you?
No.
Oh, okay. That's it.
I think they got lost.
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, but he, you know, he tried, and you know, and I don't want to be ungrateful. I'm like,
That's
oh, thank
funny.
you so much. You know, I appreciate it.
That is so funny.
But,
now, throughout his career, he moved a lot. I mean, you guys moved a lot. Who handled? I mean, because I know after Seattle, I think Green Bay and New Orleans and Atlanta, right?
Yeah, went from actually we were in Seattle for 11 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
That was a
That
long
is a long time.
And I honestly thought that's where we would retire and settled. You know, I was raising my kids there. We were really plugged into our church and just the community. And so when the trade came about, trade talk, I remember Reggie White called him up and said, hey, you know, how you doing? And, you know, talking.
Wow.
He says,
It's a big call
how
again.
would you, he said, how would you like to come play for the Packers? Gene's like, the Packers? He says, no, I'm happy here, as if we had that choice.
Right.
You know, he said, no, I'm happy here. I think this is, you know, where I'm meant to be, and, you know, I wish you guys the best, and, you know, and so, okay, so hung up, and a week later, we get that call. Guess what? You've been traded to Green Bay. So
you moved.
yeah.
Who handled those moves? Was it you?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Did you like that?
I'm a pretty organized person, but it's stressful.
Yeah.
You know, it's stressful because too I had kids a little bit older. Brittany was going to 4th grade. Brenda was in 1st grade.
So
at the
because you had
time.
2 at that time.
2 at the time.
A daughter and a son.
Yeah, daughter and a son. So just trying to handle not only the move, but I have to, you know, find a place to live and shipping and setting up furniture there. And I guess
The reason why I asked that question, you know, is because I just recently talked to Kelly Prohl, Ricky Prohl's wife, and I think they moved in throughout his career 17 times, and she said, I liked it. And I'm trying yet to find someone else who says, I like it. You know,
No,
but
I can't say that. I liked it. I did it.
You did it,
but
right?
Can't
yeah.
say that.
Yeah, Kelly is still, she holds that title.
Uh-huh.
And so, were there ever any pressures that you experienced as an NFL wife? Pressures externally and internally?
Yeah, I think probably my biggest, Eugene's pretty outgoing, pretty, you know, the life of the party, doesn't meet a stranger. And I think people expected that I was going to be that same energy, that same, you know, same girl. And I'm like, So I think, you know, they invite me to do a lot of speaking engagements. I'm like, that's kind of not my thing. I know that's what Eugene does, but that's not my comfort. I like living my little, you know, this is where I'm comfortable at. That's not my, you know, where I explore a lot. But finally, when we're in Green Bay, Eugene did a Monday night show where they had asked, you know what, it was around Christmas time, and said, you know what, let's do a family segment. Let's get the kids involved. Brittany was helping out. That she did a thing in the show on Mondays that she would do. They talked about doing interviewing the armchair quarterback. So she had a little segment, and the producer thought, man, well, she's a natural, and her dad's, you know, so we're gonna get the the wife's gonna be too. The wife's gonna be great, and the son, and you know, we're gonna get them involved. And it was, thank God, there was no YouTube, social media, no camera phones. With I was a nervous wreck. All I had to do was read a segment for a car dealership.
And I don't want to cut you off, but that I'm not gonna let you get away not telling that story in its entirety. And we have to take a quick break. So when we come back, I want you to share that story with us.
Okay.
More with Michaela and Gia Robinson when a Pro-Wife Story returns. A Pro-Wife Story continues with Michaela and Gia Robinson.
Okay, before the break, we touched on the Christmas special that you were asked to participate in.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Well, the producer talked to me. I told him, I said, this is not a great idea. I said, you know, Eugene's good at what he does. My daughter had her little segment on the show. She did a great job. My son is a lot like me. I said, I don't think this is a great idea. He's like, don't worry about it. Only thing you're gonna have to do is, they had a thing they called Fans for Vans. It's a car dealership, and they would do a feature car every week. It's one of their sponsors. He says, all you'll have to do is read a paragraph. We'll show the car up on the screen, and you would just, you know, almost like a voiceover, and then we'll just have your son interview the guest on the show. And I'm like, oh, I'm telling you.
And this was a live show, right?
And this was live.
Okay.
This was live. And I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. Anyway, pressure. Okay, I'll do it. Get there. So Eugene's doing his thing and says, you know, now, you know, we're going to cut, and, you know, now we're going to do the segment Fans for Vans. And,
and those people, I mean, most people do know Eugene, but for those who don't, right, Eugene is the type of person who you feel like is always like coming off like a 12-hour night sleep.
Right.
I mean, if that's the right way to explain it. He's like super energy, super talkative. So now you get to the studio.
Yeah, and get there, and we're doing the thing, and they did that countdown, that 3, 2, 1, and that light, and I just froze. I'm like
literally?
Literally, like I think I got the first sentence out, and then they would cut to the, you know, showing the car up on the thing. Say it was I believe it was a red Honda Civic. It was a Honda dealership. I started ad-libbing and saying it was a blue Toyota Corolla. And I know that I'm not saying the right thing.
I'm sure they appreciated that. Those sponsors were so appreciative.
Oh, you know, they were hot. And, you know, it's a live audience, and you can see the look on their faces like, I don't think that's what's up on the, what we're looking at on the screen. So, of course, I get through it, and, of course, my heart's just, I'm like, oh, I blew it. But went, sat down, and like, thank you, you know. Now it was Brandon's turn, and he had to interview the guests on the show. Poor kid, he gets so nervous. Again, he's like his mom. He gets so nervous, he forgets his question. And they have a co-host there, and she, you know, whispers in his ear, well, Brenda, ask him this question. And he got an attitude with it. That's not my question. So the audience starts to laugh and giggle.
Because how old was he back then?
He was only 6.
Yeah,
of
course. That's what any 6-year-old would say.
Yeah, and he thought they were laughing at him. Yeah. And they're just like, oh, poor, you know, baby. He's so cute. And he gets so nervous. So, of course, his little lip starts to tremble. And I'm looking at him like, oh, no, I probably should get out of my seat and go, like, run over there. But I'm so traumatized for the 3 lines I had to read. And so my daughter
didn't want you back.
Oh, yeah, they're probably like, no,
they did not want you back. And advertise someone else's dealership at that point.
You just stay put. We'll take care of your son. So he's, again, freezing, and my daughter decides, you know what, I'm going to go over there and help him. She goes running across the studio, and she goes and she grabs the mic from him. Now they're fighting over the mic. She wants it right. She's like, I'll ask the question. You know, for her, she's probably thinking more airtime. And so now, you know, he's fighting her on it, and finally, I guess the question came back to him. He's like, I remember it now, and bless his heart. So anyway, we get through the whole show. It's all done. They have a little signing autographs, you know, afterwards. and I can see and I'm waiting for Eugene. I'm with the kids and another friend. I can see out the corner of my eye, here comes the producer. And he's all tight, and he's with his, briefcase, and he's coming towards me. And I'm like, I'm going to just stop this real quick before he even really gets into it. I'm like, you know what? I told you that was a bad idea. He just looked at me and goes, you know what? You were right. I should have listened to you. So anyway,
wow.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, there you go.
I think it's classic.
I try to win.
Actually, for me personally, I would appreciate if I would have watched that on live television. I would have everybody watch this. This is what a typical family is like, because
exactly,
that's
reality
what
show.
life is like,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, and then the good husband that Eugene is, he gave you another opportunity later, right? At a conference. So nice of him to speak again.
Exactly. We went to this big conference. It's a PAO conference, Professional Athletes Outreach. And you're there for a week, and you have different speakers come in, and you do an outreach on Saturday. And then on Saturday evenings, kind of the close of it, they'd have you, talk about, what did you learn, kind of, what you got from the conference. And of course, he's like, let's get up there and tell them. I'm like, oh, I'm a little nervous, I'm a little nervous. He said, well, don't worry. You just come up there with me. Just stand with me. I'll do all the talking. Don't worry about it. I'm like, oh, okay, I can deal with that. Yeah. So we get up there, and there's hundreds of people at this conference, and we're standing up there. So he's, telling kind of what he's experienced, when he's taken from the conference, what he's learned, and he was wrapping it up. So I'm like, okay. So I go to turn left, thinking we're about to exit, off the stage, and I hear him go, and now my wife would like to say a few words. I just about died. Would like to say a few words, and he hands me the mic, and the mic kind of hits my chest, and it does that whole, like crickets in the background.
It was describing your feelings.
Nothing prepared. I'm like, I don't believe he's, so I just make up something on the fly again. And I did learn something from the conference, so I did, but still I was not prepared for it.
Did he leave you on the stage?
No, he just sat there just grinning, just like.
Again,
yeah,
for those
had no clue.
Watching, knowing Eugene, we can visualize
and knowing how I was. He had no clue. So, after everybody was talking, I just couldn't wait. I'm like, when we get up to that room, I'm going to let him have it.
Yeah.
Tell him, don't ever do that to me again. Remember I said I wasn't going to say anything? You do all the talking? He's like, oh, yeah, my bad. You did say that, didn't you?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Like he didn't know. He didn't know.
Yeah.
But, of course, he was just trying to help you. He was just trying
thought,
to.
Hey,
he didn't set you up. He was just trying to be helpful.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like sheds light on now, because when I met with you for lunch a few months ago,
right,
not telling you, what I was going to ask you, but then asking you over lunch, just nonchalant, hey, would you like to share your story on a pro-wife story?
Yeah,
do you remember what you told me?
I'm like, really? I said, I thought you were inviting me here to talk about a Bible study.
Right, and then you said...
I said, because had I known, I'm sure I had something to do that afternoon. But yeah.
You wouldn't have come, right?
I probably, yeah.
Well, I didn't set you up either.
I know.
I was just trying to be helpful too.
Yeah.
We're all just being so nice to you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too funny. Yeah. Well, we have to take another break, but there's obviously much more I want to talk to you about.
More with Michaela and Gia Robinson when a pro-wife story returns. A pro-wife story continues with Michaela and Gia Robinson.
On a more serious note, but a very exciting note, you guys have been married for what, about 31 years?
Just celebrated in October, 31 years.
Wow.
Of marriage, yeah.
I mean, that's an accomplishment. It really is.
Yes.
I'm assuming, every marriage, I haven't met anybody to this day who hasn't faced some sort of challenges in their marriage.
Yes, that's right.
Did you, and how do you deal with them?
And I'm even to sit here with you today, Michaela, and say that I just got done celebrating 31 years. It's really a miracle. Almost close to 20 years ago, we went through a really hard time that really, realistically, I wasn't sure if we were going to make it, and I can literally sit here now and say, by the grace of God, by the unconditional love of my family, both of our families, and from friends who just rallied around us, who knew who we were at the core, came around us and said, roll up the sleeves, we're going to fight with you. We're going to help you through it. And just put in the work, putting in the work to persevere. And I'm glad we did. So I can, like I said, sit here with you and even say,
Yeah.
you know.
And I want to talk
made it.
about that, because how do you do that? You know, to those listening, because I feel like no matter if you've been married for 1 year or 31 years, like in your case, there are going to be ups and downs in your marriage.
Absolutely.
And I compare it like to a workout, right? Sometimes you just tweak a muscle, and sometimes you break a bone, but you don't stop working out because you know it's good for you.
Right, right.
But how do you do that? How did you do that?
Right. With me, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, and really it was the Lord. It was really just leaning on Him, because it wasn't my own strength. And people say, oh, you're so strong, how did you get? No, it wasn't me. It was not me. You know, it was my faith that got me through. It was my relationship with Christ that, you know, held me together. And it was knowing, like I said, going back to the core of who that person is. Who are they at their core? You know, that I knew who he was, you know, and just having that support of family and friends who loved you. It was just that unconditional love, you know, and being able to forgive and to be able to move on, you know, so you have to have that.
And you guys, I mean, you guys are definitely a celebrity. And as a celebrity, you know, when you go through something in your marriage, it not always is just your issue, right? It becomes other people's issues. How do you deal with that? Because now you have to deal with it at home, but you also got to deal with it because you feel like everybody else around you knows that, you know, your marriage is not necessarily going through a great period. How do you deal with that?
You know, we just had to block it out, because you can let a lot of feeding into a lot of things and letting people get in your ear, and you just have to just block it out and say, you know what, this is, yeah, it's public, but this is my life. You know, this is my family. These are my children. First, as a mom too, you just want to make sure they're protected. And once I knew they were, I was willing to do the work, and I couldn't worry about what people say. Like you said, everybody goes through something.
Everyone.
Whether it's public or not, everyone deals with something at some point in time. You know, so I just had to say, you know what, I can't worry about it. I cannot. I'm not going to drive myself crazy about it. I'm not going to worry about, you know, what people think or their opinions. I know this is my life. This is my family.
And did you ever feel like giving up?
I would say no, because my kids were okay. I think that my kids, as a mama bear, you want to protect your children. And I think had they not been okay or really struggled, that would have been a little bit tougher. But once I knew they were okay, I was okay. Yep, I said, I'm going to fight, for better or for worse.
So if we have someone watching today who may feel like that their marriage is not going to make it, what would you tell them?
It's a few things, but I would say, for me, I have the Lord in my life, so that was totally important to give me that strength to get through, but also to again, going back to who that person is, and you know, marriage is hard. Any relationship, friendships, parent child relationship, you know, just you have to be able to willing to hang in there, you know, and to have hope. I think that hopelessness can be overwhelming sometimes for people if they don't, you know, they feel they have no hope. So that's important to, you know, there's hope. There's, you know, I love that verse in Psalms that says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And it really does. If you can just hang in there and just persevere, you know, it really does. You know, there's another morning and a morning after that, and, you know, and to know that this too shall pass, you know, if you're willing to hang in there and to work at it.
I mean, that's so powerful, because I think, again, you know, what you're saying is so true. It's not always just about a marriage relationship, but it could be a relationship with a family member or a friend. And I think sometimes we misinterpret the meaning of love. I think we think love is just a feeling, but I think love is an action. Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Takes work, and our kids, like you said, your kids are watching, and now you're sitting here after 31 years, and that is an accomplishment. It is truly an accomplishment to be married that long,
Right.
and to be able to, and again, I'm sure there's still times that, you know, you have your ups and downs, but when you learn how to overcome those ups and downs, it speaks
Gives
to
you strength, right.
those around us. Yeah. Do you think a lot of that, or some of that, maybe had to do with who your mom was too?
Exactly. You know, I thought
'Cause
about
I feel that strength.
Absolutely, definitely. She's my role. I might want to get a little emotional. My role model. You know, I see what she overcame and how she persevered and endured, and you know, yeah, I gain a lot of strength from my mom.
Yeah.
You know, definitely.
And again, you know, that's what is so important for us to focus on, that how you watched her, your kids are watching you,
Right.
those around you are watching you. This is what life is supposed to be, right? We're supposed to take the good from each other.
Right.
More with Michaela and Gia Robinson when a pro-wife story returns. A pro-wife story continues with Michaela and Gia Robinson.
So you've been married for 31 years. Eugene now is retired from playing football, not retired from doing everything. I mean, I know that he coaches high school football, right?
Football, wrestling, and track.
I should
So
have known.
all
Should have
three
known.
sports. So
I knew of
year-round.
the football, not of all the others.
Yeah.
And then he's I also believe, a co-host for a local television show.
Yes, Charlotte Today show in the mornings.
And then he still works, I think, with the Carolina Panthers media
correct.
department, right?
Yes, color analyst.
I think I've heard him on the radio. I mean, on and on and on. But I know you've been busy too.
Yeah, I do interior design
Yeah.
work. Started probably about 2003. Met with a fabulous girl, Victoria McDougall. So unfortunately, she passed away. But it was her business, and she was my designer. And she was just awesome. I've learned so much from her, and she's got really busy. She says, you know what, you're really good. You know, I enjoy working with you. I'm getting extremely busy. You know, mind coming alongside me and just help me out. And so, you know, I love it. So it was a blessing to me. I'm like, sure, if you have me, I would love to do it. So did that, and like I said, kind of went up underneath her wing, and she just taught me so much, and we got busy and did a lot.
You do an amazing job, an amazing
thanks.
job. I wish everybody could see what I'm looking at. I mean, your house is perfect,
Wow.
and you just are very gifted. So definitely doing what you have been called to do. Empty nesters, right?
Yes.
No one to take care of anymore, right?
Exactly. My kids are grown
Yeah.
now. My son just got married this summer, so exciting times. And tell you the truth, I'm looking forward to being a grandmother.
Oh.
I'm upset. I love babies.
Yeah.
So even though we have this lull for a moment, it's just Eugene and I, and it's nice because you know, we get to travel and do
Sure.
and be with each other and enjoy each other's company. But now just getting ready to enter into a different phase of life.
Yeah.
Being a grandparent. I'm
Does your son
excited.
Brandon know that you are?
Oh yeah.
So
I
ready?
try not to be that mom and
Yeah.
that mother-in-law, but yeah, he knows.
He knows.
No pressure or anything, but
No pressure,
yeah,
but.
no pressure, but
Right.
yeah. So in
Well,
time.
and in the meantime, I mean, Eugene, I'm sure, gives you opportunities to take care of him too, because as we've just learned, right?
Exactly.
He
Ruptured
is
his-
one of the only ones that I know of that finds a way of getting hurt, even though he's no longer playing, right?
Football injury, correct.
Yeah.
Yes, was doing a workout.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing your mind tells you one thing, but your body's letting you know. At 53, you know, and being a former athlete, I think you still kind of have that. Oh, I can do that. I can handle that. And went to a workout facility that he was doing a shoot for, and it was. I don't know if you ever watched the Ninja Warriors. They kind of run up this curved wall, and you grab the top.
Was he doing that?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
now he could have
gosh.
just reported it, but he like, no, let me just, I'll do it. You know, I'm gonna, you know, get in there and get my hands dirty, so to speak, and did it a couple times,
Yeah.
and it went well. So he's like, okay, now I'm ready. Told the camera, you know, guys, I'm ready to roll. Now let's, you know, he's feeling good, he's feeling like, you know, so now that he knows the camera's on, I think he just went for it, planted his foot, you know, wrong, and heard a pop. And he ruptured his Achilles while playing football. So he knew that sound and knew exactly what it was, fell backwards, and he's like, that's not good.
I mean, I
Not good.
certainly don't want to laugh because I completely understand. That's painful and frustrating.
Right.
But it's just
Yeah.
a little bit funny. Just
Yeah.
a little bit. So
Yeah.
when he called you, what were you thinking? Because
Well, he had texted me.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I think I ruptured my Achilles tendon. And of course, I picked up the phone, like, what are you texting me for? So I'm thinking, he's laid out somewhere, and I'm calling him. I'm like, so, would I need to come? Would I, to come pick you up and drive you do you need to go to the hospital, to the doctor? He's like, oh, no, I'm driving. You're driving? Yeah. He's like, oh, no, I'm okay. He thinks, and that's him. He just pushes, and he says, no, I just have to walk slowly, but I'm getting around, and I'm gonna call. I already talked to the doctor. I'm heading down to the Panthers organization. Their team doctor was gonna take a look at him and schedule confirm that it was ruptured and schedule a surgery for him. So he was doing all that, and it was just like no
what was
big
going
deal.
through your mind?
I'm like, is he crazy?
Yeah.
And it was his right foot, his driving foot. But he was like, no, I'll call you back. I'll let you know what I find out with more details.
At least he's not asking you or setting you up to do that ninja thing
Please.
too. I mean, seems like he wants you to do what he's doing, and I'm thinking
no. Yeah, he knows. That was never happen.
Is he an easy patient?
He's not bad. I can't complain.
That surprises me because he seems to be very difficult to just
settle down.
Yeah. I feel like you'd have to medicate him.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seems like, that would be very, very interesting to watch.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting after the surgery and that rehabbing, and because he's going to have to take a little time off. So, but no, I mean, I've been through it with him before, and it wasn't too bad. I can't complain.
Well, you are always, one thing about you, every time I've seen you, you're always so calm. We've talked about, your ups and downs in your marriage, and just, in general, you just seem to be just calm. And as we have to wrap up, we have a couple of minutes left. I really want you to leave us with how do you do that? How do you stay so encouraged and so inspired?
Like going back to it, really the core of who I am is really my belief. Having that relationship with the Lord definitely helps me. Having a strong, supportive mom, and just by nature, I think I have a pretty even temperament, a very pretty even keeled. So that definitely helps. And just knowing, because I've been through things. I mean, just think about even coming into the world. I was coming in with odds against us, me and my mom. Like she said, it was just me and you, kid. We were going to make it one way or the other. I was going to make a life for us. So I think if I can give hope to someone, that no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what you go through, that hang in there, yeah, and as you live life and experience life and get through some things that look bigger than life, and you can get through it. I think it gives you strength.
Yeah.
And gives you that sense of
you will definitely.
okay.
You have shown us today. I always say that change doesn't start around you, but it starts in you, and that is you, Gia. So thank you so much for everything that you shared. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You've been watching A Pro-Wife Story, presented by Michaela Scurlock and the Carolina Panthers.